Hello everyone, I'm Santiago and today I'm going to be testing Mass Effect Legendary Edition on the Steam Deck, so Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3 with improved graphics, controls and all that good stuff. So native resolution, basically the highest settings, no motion blur because it distracts me. Let's get into it. Mass Effect 1 first. Okay, so as you can see, Mass Effect 1 is the one that got the best upgrades, to say it in some way, over the original. Mass Effect 2 and 3, yeah, Mass Effect 2 got a couple good visual improvements, but the biggest update again, Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 3 looks almost the same as before, some improved assets, but that's basically it. So my advice for this one is to lock it to 60 frames, really. As you can see, the cutscenes themselves force VSync, so you got 60 is basically all the time in there. So yeah, I mean, just log it to 60 inside the options menu and you'll be good to go. Good battery life, like, yeah, 4 hours I had by playing the first one. And if you lock it to something lower, like 40 or 30 even, you'll be getting even more battery life. So yeah, this is one of those games, due to its age and its performance, that it's a good battery life companion. These games are ideal for the Steam Deck, in my opinion. Rifle. I keep pressing square like an idiot. That's not the correct button. Anyway, so as you can see, it's mostly 60 frames. This part is more demanding than most because of the god rays and the amount of stuff on screen. That's why I chose this level, the very first one. So yeah, my advice for this one is to keep it maxed out on native resolution, locked to 60 frames from the menu itself, and you'll be good to go. I think it's time for Mass Effect 2 now, after this cutscene ends. Let it play a little bit further. So yeah, these are still the old games with better assets, same engine, and better gameplay, especially in the first one. So it's no surprise that it runs so well. But still, the only places where it drops frames is in the Citadel. But you're basically walking around the Citadel, not fighting, at least 99% of the time. So yeah, just log it to 60 and you should be fine. Let's jump into Mass Effect 2. Okay, we're now back on Mass Effect 2. Again, higher settings, no VSync, everything maxed out. Let's go. And again, in this case, I'll lock it to 60 once more. We're at the very beginning of the game. And you really cannot go wrong with this one. It runs just fine. Even with multiple effects close to the camera, which is what drops the performance. I'm going to do some combat right after this. But it's such a gorgeous game still. I mean, it's old, has a few adjustments to the graphics. But it still looks nice, at least in my opinion. So yeah, you'll be over 60 basically all the time. So my advice is to lock it to 60, so Steam Deck's refresh rate, you get good battery life. And if you want even more battery, lock it to 30 or 40, and you should be good to go.
Come on. The Normandy's lost. Going down with the ship won't change that.
And as you can see, again on this one, like on Mass Effect 1, the cutscenes are enforcing VSync, so 60 frames. So let's get into the gameplay part in a moment. Okay, we're now into the game again. The very beginning. Not the best place to do testing. But hey, it is what it is. It worked completely fine. It's funny because I think Mass Effect 2 runs better than 1 in most instances. And that's because Mass Effect 1 was the one that got the most visual upgrades. But one thing I would have liked to see is some TAA option for anti-aliasing. It looks a little bit too... how to say? You can see the pixels. At least on the big screen. On the small screen is fine. And again, my recommendation, once more, I'm going to be very redundant. Lock it to 60, just save lots of battery. I mean, 100 FPS is nice, but the screen is only 60 Hz. If you're playing on a screen, you can even do 1080p if you want to. Boom, dead. As you can see there, effect showed up, very close. And we dropped to 67, so still over 60. Pretty good. So yeah, perfectly fine, super serviceable. Two items, completely playable. This is a huge improvement over the first one, at least in my opinion, on the controls, the story. The entire game by itself, in my opinion, is superior in almost every way. So yeah, I think you saw enough of Mass Effect 2. Let's jump into Mass Effect 3. Be right back. And finally, Mass Effect 3. Again, highest settings, native resolution. But lock it to 60 for best battery life. And do not waste energy with 100 FPS in portable mode. And this one is, I think, is the one that runs the best, because it's the one that got the least amount of graphical updates. I think they improved the textures and the models a little bit. Don't quote me on that. But this is the smallest change across the board. So keep that in mind. That's why this one runs so good. Although, like on the other games, the Citadel is quite problematic to reach 60 frames. But that's just a limitation of the engine. There is more detail there than it should be. But that's fine. I understand why they did it. Because you're just walking around in the Citadel. You're not actually fighting 99% of the time. So while it happens, I don't think it's a big issue. So again, lock it to 60, enjoy yourself. You can lock the Steam Deck screen, put it to sleep, and get back into the action without restarting the game, which I think is the biggest advantage over a computer. So yeah, super happy about it. One of the best franchises to play on the Steam Deck, at least in my opinion. These three games, they perform at native resolution, 60 frames very easily. And they're very easy to pick up and play. You just lock the screen and then come back when you want to keep playing. These two items. Nice.
Looks like we've got a
An Atlas is going to fall from the sky.
I could use an ice pack.
Where is it?
Has the light pod ended stasis mode?
We're almost there.
Come on, boom, Atlas.
If anybody's low, there's a Cerberus supply cache in the building next door.
I can lay down a singularity to block enemy access.
Cover. There we go. The Atlas.
Copy, Max. Don't let it get close.
Let's say cover. This one is a big one. Oh god. Jesus. So as you can see, runs completely fine. You can play at 60 without an issue. Long battery life, especially if you lock it to 60 or below. And I'm going to very quickly show you the Citadel, so you understand what I'm talking about. About the FPS drops. Again, this is the only area where this happens, but you're mostly walking around. Especially in here, in this part, which is called Presidium Commons. When you look here into the distance, it drops into the 40s. So just while you're walking around, as you can see, it's a single core performance limitation, because the GPU is not fully maxed out. Again, no big deal, you're just walking around. You're not actually shooting anyone, at least 99% of the time in these areas. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see ya next time. Bye guys.